ripped across the beach, and she shivered against its chilling force. Elijah reached for her hand, encased it in his kidskin glove, and held it up. "These aren't going to keep you warm." He jutted his chin toward the dainty little boots Mother had purchased for her in Milwaukee. "Neither are those." She pulled her hand away from him. "I wasn't planning to be out long. I just wanted to tell you about Father and Gilbert." Elijah's gaze moved back to the wide-open waters of Lake Superior. "I know the storm came up quick, but it's unlikely they're still out in it. If anything, they would have sheltered up in Copper Harbor." She looked out to the lake and raised her hands before letting them fall again. Moisture gathered in her eyes, but she blinked it away. "Their steamer was due in 3 hours ago, before the storm even started. Please, Elijah, you have to help." Victoria's words ran like icy Lake Superior water through Elijah's veins. "Not someone else I know. Please, God, not even Gilbert Sinclair. This town wouldn't be able to handle another death at the hands of the lake. Or maybe he was the one who couldn't handle another." "You're certain the steamer left on time?" She swallowed, the strained muscles of her creamy throat barely visible in the blowing snow. Yes, Father and Gilbert telegraphed Mother from Marquette last night. They meant to leave on the Beaumont this morning." If Gilbert Sinclair's fancy new steamer had left Marquette by noon, it should have arrived before the storm. Had something else gone wrong? And what exactly did she think he could do about it? It was one thing to rescue men from a ship he knew was floundering. Taking his crew into dangerous waters to search for a vessel that could be miles away was quite another. Victoria stared up at him, wisps of dark brown hair escaping from beneath her wide-brimmed hat. At least she'd had the sense to wear a good one of those, and a warm fur cloak. But her fingers and toes had to be well-nigh frozen. "Your father and fiancé probably harbored somewhere along the coast and are waiting out the storm." Victoria's chin came up. "Gilbert's not my fiancé." Yet. Though this was no time to start arguing about his choice of words. Just then the bell clanged. Not the constant ringing that warned ships of fog, but 3 short chimes, a pause, and then another chime. The signal call to the lifesavers. "Maybe that's for the Beaumont. Come on." He grabbed her lantern off the boulder she'd been absurdly trying to climb, snuffed it, took her other hand in his, and started crossing the slippery rocks. How long it had been since he'd held her hand? A decade, maybe. The bell clanged again. Confound it. In the 3 years he'd been making these rescues, he'd never once gotten distracted. Now he couldn't keep his concentration for 10 seconds. Do you think Father will be all right?" Worried shadows haunted the soft skin beneath her hazel eyes, the same hazel eyes that stared back at him from his dreams every night. Double confound it. If only he had a moment to stop and take her in his arms, whisper that everything would be fine, hold her until she stopped trembling. But she wasn't his to hold, and he could hardly promise everything would be fine in a storm like this. "I don't know, but your father and Gilbert, they're good sailors who know these waters. They've got a better chance than most." He should drop her hand. Continuing to hold it was doing ridiculous things to his heart, despite the barrier of her thin, inadequate gloves. But he couldn't quite manage to let go. "Quickly now." They scrambled over the last of the rocks and climbed onto the lighthouse lawn. Above, the usually strong beam of the tower's light quickly diffused into the swirling snow. He raced with Victoria over the lawn toward Front Street and the sandy beach that rimmed the harbor. "There." He pointed toward the shadow of a lifeboat pulled up alongside the surf boat his crew was preparing for launch. "Maybe your father's already ashore." She heaved in a breath.